In a quiet village, there lived a young lad named Tomas. He was bright and gentle at heart, but alas, the boy had one great flaw. He let fear rule over him. It clung to him like a shadow, making him tremble at the thought of failure. He feared the sting of defeat, the judgment of strangers, and the uncertainty of new experiences. Even when a contest at the village school called for brave souls to take part, Tomas shrank back, shaking his head. What if I falter? What if the others mock me? His mother and father spoke words of courage, yet the chains of fear bound him still. One evening, his father rested a hand upon his shoulder and said, "Tomas, fear is but a whisper in the mind, not a truth carved in stone." But Tomas, poor boy, could not grasp these words. One night, after a weary day filled with self-doubt, Tomas found his way to his grandfather's hut, the wisest elder in all the village. "Grandfather," he sighed, "I feel trapped. I long to succeed, yet fear keeps my feet from moving." The old man chuckled, his eyes twinkling like stars. "Fear, my boy, is but an iron shackle on the soul. Let me tell you a tale that will lift its weight from your heart. Long ago, in a faraway land, there lived a boy named Rohan. In his kingdom, warriors were honored above all, but Rohan was not like the others. He was a boy of fear, afraid of the night's shadows, the pain of falling, and the clash of steel. Whenever he saw the village lads wielding wooden swords, he would turn away, whispering to himself, "I am not meant for such things." One day, a wise traveler came to the kingdom. He found Rohan alone, staring at the ground, and asked, "Why do you wear such a troubled face, young one?" Rohan let out a deep sigh. "I wish to be strong," he admitted, "but my fears clutch at me. I fear the sting of defeat, the judgment of others, the unknown that lies ahead." The traveler gave a knowing smile and beckoned, "Come, walk with me." The wise one led Rohan to a flowing river. He pointed at a mighty stone resting in the water's path. "Tell me, boy, if the river stopped each time it met a rock, what would become of it?" Rohan pondered for a moment before answering. "The river would halt, unable to move forward." The wise one nodded. "Indeed, but look again. The river does not yield. It flows around the stone, ever onward. Fear, my boy, is but a stone in your path. If you let it halt you, you shall never reach your journey's end. But if you learn to move beyond it, nothing shall stand in your way." Rohan's eyes gleamed with understanding. From that moment, he vowed not to be a prisoner of fear. He took up the wooden sword and began to train. At first, he stumbled often. He bruised his knees, lost many sparring matches, and felt the sting of failure. But instead of fleeing, he pressed on. Each fall taught him a lesson. Each defeat made him wiser. Years passed, and Rohan grew into a mighty warrior, revered by his people. He fought bravely and defended his homeland. Yet the greatest victory he ever claimed was not with sword and shield. It was the battle against the fear that once ruled him. Tomas sat in silence, his mind racing. He saw now that fear was not his foe, but merely a hurdle meant to be crossed. He turned to his grandfather, eyes wide with realization. "So if I try and falter, it will not be the end?" The old man grinned. "Just so, my boy. What matters is the effort, for failure is but a lesson, not a tombstone upon your dreams." That night, Tomas made a vow. Never again would he let fear bind his steps. The very next day, news spread in the village school of a grand debate competition. Usually, Tomas would shy away, but this time, with newfound courage, he raised his hand high and declared, "I shall take part." His friends gasped in astonishment. "Are you certain, Tomas?" they queried, disbelief etched on their faces. Tomas beamed with confidence. "Indeed, I am certain," he replied, his heart swelling with pride. When the day of the competition dawned, Tomas stood upon the stage, his hands trembling, his heart racing like a wild stallion. Yet, he recalled his grandfather's wise words, "Fear is but a rock. Press onward." Taking a deep breath, he began to speak. His voice quavered at first, but with each word, confidence grew within him. By the time he finished, the crowd erupted in applause. Though he did not claim first prize, he won something far more precious: his self-belief. From that day forth, Tomas faced his fears head-on. He spoke in front of crowds, embraced new experiences, and even lent a hand to others battling their own fears. As the years rolled by, Tomas transformed into a beacon of hope, sharing his tale as a motivational speaker, inspiring countless souls to rise above their fears. "Fear," he would say, "is like a stone in a river's flow. It may hinder your journey, but only if you permit it. If you learn to navigate around it, you shall never feel trapped again." Thus, dear listeners, he would conclude, the next time fear attempts to halt your steps, ponder this. Will you let it stop you? Or will you flow onward like the river? For if you persist in your journey, success will inevitably accompany you on the path of life.